Hey everyone, welcome to this weekly Sidereal astrology forecast for the week of November 9th through the 15th of 2020. All right, so another big week here astrologically. We have a few major events taking place. On Thursday, Jupiter will be passing over Pluto, which was an energy we were feeling all year here in 2020, but really started around the early part of April of this year. And Jupiter is the planet of expansion. Pluto is the deep planet, right? So this week, I think it's great to unveil things, see the deeper aspects of life, about ourselves and of life, and in this way really empower ourselves. What are our deeper desires? Where's the truth? What can we shed away so that we can do the things that are most important to us on the deepest level? With this, then we have Mars going station direct on Friday. Seems like a long time. Mars has been retrograde in Pisces. So now some maybe forward-moving energy a little bit in regards to our drives, our needs. Maybe still not clarity yet though, because Mars in Pisces will be here until mid-January. So still good to go with the flow and be receptive with things, but maybe some things starting to move forward in regards to our needs, our desires, things that we probably became aware of during the last full moon in Aries. Now, the week ends with a new moon. So it is important that even though there is this kind of expansive energy with the deeper aspects and maybe something slowly starting to move forward with our drives and needs, it is the lowest energy phase of the cycle. So the end of the week ends in the completion phase, the lowest energy phase of the new moon, and it really is a great week for completing things. What are some things we can finalize that have been in our lives, maybe the past 3 or 4 weeks, that we can now complete to create a little bit of space for what will be the new beginnings going into next week. But all in all, Saturday and Sunday are great days for starting to set some new intentions and into next week build a little bit of momentum. All right, so let's take a look at all of this here as well as the other aspects in more detail when we return. All right, so here's the sky for this week. We're going to look at this first with Monday and then each of the days consecutively after that. Now, again, we are using the visible sky, which does change the signs from mainstream astrology. If you're watching that intro and we're wondering why I didn't say Mars was in Aries, or how I'm about to say that the new moon is in Libra, right, where these signs are different from mainstream, definitely check out that link down below for more information. We're essentially using the visible sky, which is different from all forms of mainstream astrology. All right, so let's go ahead and start one day at a time here, starting first with Monday, November 9th. Now, it's important to keep in mind that these first couple days of the week, we're going to have some Leo energy, the moon in Leo. I think it'll be good to express ourselves and maybe have a little bit of fun, connect to our inner child, or a little bit of playfulness, some fun, that kind of thing, really good. Actually, before we go further with this, I almost forgot. Let's do a recap. Let's see where everything is with the planets, this week. So the sun is in Libra now officially. The sun had entered into here last week. And so this is still good as we go through the coming weeks to focus on balance. I think the sun in Libra has now been helping us view life through the lens of what is fair, what is just, and how can we hopefully bring some things back into balance, maybe dealing with how we relate with others, maybe in some of those relationships, but just fundamentally seeing both sides of the coin and doing our best to find a middle path and mediate some things so that there is more balance, harmony, and doing the right thing, right, for ourselves and others with the sun in Libra. We still do have a lot of energy in Virgo at the moment still. Venus and Mercury are still here. So our minds in the area of still improvement, taking care of things, maybe doing the work, very analytical, right? It's very much in that kind of day-to-day improvement kind of energy in how we're thinking. And then with Venus here, maybe some of that coming through in terms of those relationships, right? Venus rules Libra, planet of relationships. And so in this context, seeing how we can join up with others that do want to improve things and fix things. This could be a very good way of working with Venus here. But all in all, just valuing, this kind of day-to-day energy, this improvement energy, and seeing how we can fix and refine things in our life. It's just both very enjoyable and just really good to do with both Venus and Mercury here. And then, of course, which we'll talk about, Mars is still in Pisces. So again, still good to be receptive, go with the flow as best as we can. Mars does represent our drives and our needs, And Pisces is the deep oceans of life, the spiritual life. And so all this kind of drive and direction and needs is in the middle of the ocean right now. And so it is good to be as receptive as possible, even though Mars is starting to move forward here around Friday. All right, so let's come back to that beginning of the week. Again, first couple days, really good for that self-expression here with Leo. But also on Monday, Venus will be opposite up to Mars. So this could be a really good day of balance. Again, all oppositions have that Libra energy. Libra is the opposite of the ascendant in the chart. It's all about this kind of balance. And Venus represents the feminine aspects of how we relate with others. And Mars is the masculine, so the more direct, assertive, our needs. So it's a really good day on Monday to see that balance between our needs, others' needs, to be tactful, receptive, but also direct and assertive, right? And see both, right? Because we do need both. And there can feel like there's a bit of a gap between these sides of ourselves or this side of our relationship. Maybe we're taking on more of the feminine side or more of the masculine side. But it is good to find that balance, how we can merge the two, the yin and the yang, the receptive and the active, the feminine and the masculine within us. And this helps balance out this opposition here with these two sort of polarities. Now, once we start to get into Tuesday, in the later part of Monday, the sun will be trining up to Neptune. And Neptune is the deep water planet that's much like Pisces, but this is in good harmony here. So with this, I think it's really good to see that, yes, there is this side that maybe does want to do things that are more important to us on a soul level, late Monday into Tuesday. Maybe getting a little bit of rest, maybe doing things more spiritually meaningful, maybe getting into our creative or imaginative side, right? And in relationships, if there is a theme there, it could be where we're just feeling a little bit more compassionate, a little bit more unconditional and receptive just in general. So just a nice synergy, a nice harmony here with the watery elements of life as we do continue with that self-expression of Leo and find balance with the yin and yang here really all week, but particularly around Monday. All right, now once we start to shift into Wednesday, the moon will be changing sign, going into Virgo for pretty much the whole rest of the week until late Saturday once we gear up for the new moon. Very large constellation of Virgo. So Wednesday onward, really good for, again, that improvement and that refinement. The moon will pass over Venus and Mercury here. And so this is really the energy from the previous lunar cycle, that really the last 2 months have been very much emphasizing that improvement in doing kind of energy. So again, completion. I think anytime the moon comes back to the place where we had the new moon in the previous cycle, it is about completing those kinds of energies. And so as we approach the weekend, again, really good for completion, finalization, maybe creating a little bit of space as well, so we can have some space for the new beginnings. This is, again, coming up to the lowest energy phase of the cycle, so it's good to release things, let things go, but complete nonetheless. And I think with the moon here, really good for completing things that we've been doing the work with, that are maybe involving our day-to-day activities, maybe improvement, refinement, maybe personal development. All of this really good pretty much this whole week from Wednesday onward. And then once we get to Thursday, we have, and this is going to get stronger as we approach Thursday, this Jupiter over Pluto for the last and final time. Jupiter, the planet of expansion, Pluto, the deep planet, said to be the ruler of the underworld. And so Jupiter loves to expand these things, bring anything to the surface, and in this case, it is the deep energies of Pluto. So this has been going on since around April 4th, the early part of April. We had the second contact at the end of June, which shifted some things probably in this context, but now it's the finalization of it. I think it's a great time to reflect on how has this energy been going since April in the context of what deep has arisen that we can now see a little bit more abstractly. Jupiter is the philosopher, it's the guru, it's where we can see a little bit of a higher perspective on things and see what we can transform, what we can change. Maybe within ourselves, maybe there's some things that we may want to do that may be facing some fears, might require some self-empowerment, but moving through those fears or inhibitions can be very transformative. It's also a good time to maybe do some healing, maybe some deeper work if that's been a theme for you this year. And all in all, just becoming more aware of the deeper side of life and embracing that as a part of life, right? The deeper side of ourself is a part of us. The deeper part of life is part of life. And this is all the shadow realms that Pluto represents. that Jupiter can help us become more aware of and embrace and work with and see the light-hearted side of it, or the lighter side of it, or the higher side of it, I should say, that helps it become very constructive. And especially with the last contact, it's a great time of finalizing anything that does require self-empowerment. That's been in orb since around April. All right, so that's going to be peaking here around Thursday, but again, we'll be feeling it all week, even as we go into the weekend. And then as we do get to Friday here and then into Saturday, Mars is finally going station direct. It's felt like forever, at least on my side of things. And this has all been these past 3 or 4 months of the uncertainty of Mars and Pisces. And then during the retrograde, this whole kind of going back and reevaluating things in terms of where we're putting our energy. And Mars retrograde in Pisces has been showing us the importance of doing things that are, first of all, important to us on a deepest level and important to us spiritually, but also how to be more receptive, right? That there's this greater cosmic energy, this greater flow of life that we don't want to fight against, right? And so it's so important to listen to our intuition, to turn inward for where to take action and energy. It's always good to do this in life, but especially when Mars is in Pisces. So anyways, Mars is moving direct. Do give it time, of course. He has to build his momentum. He's not as fast as even Mercury. Even with Mercury retrogrades, you want to give a little bit of time for that forward-moving energy, but especially Mars being a much slower planet. So this will be going into next week, but it would be really good to start to maybe implement some things, especially coming out of the new moon, which will be the new cycle going into next week, in regards to how we can be more receptive. I think something's shifting here where during these past few months, we've been learning a lot about ourselves on a deeper level and how to be more receptive and go with the flow a little bit more. And yeah, maybe a little bit of more active energy, assertive energy moving forward, but again, in the context of being receptive, right? Mars is still in Pisces and will be here until mid-January. So still good to do that, still good to see how we can be more inwardly attuned, more attuned to the flows of life, and do things that are important to us, not only physically, but spiritually as well. All right, so some moving energy there, and then we come up to the new moon, and the new moon will be very late Saturday and early Sunday, again, completing things from the previous cycle, and then slowly starting a fresh new start going into next week. The context will be Libra, and the aspects are quite easy to work with, no major squares with the new moon. And so I think relative to the last new moon and some of the ones we've had this year, so this will be a little bit easier to work with. So fresh new start, fresh new beginning. It's going to be in the context of Libra. Again, how can we bring in more balance into our life and do things that are fair, right, and just, to see both sides of the coin personally or interpersonally, and in this way live a little bit more of a centered life. And it's Libra said to be the ruler of karma, right? So a little bit more of a karma-free life. I don't really like to say that because it really isn't, but there is this kind of doing things that are a little bit more harmonious, a little bit more in balance, and maybe resolving some things from the past or something like this. So new beginnings, fresh new start. Great to set new intentions when it does come to balance, when it comes to what's right, what's just, and bringing the scales back into balance when it comes with karma and just the duality of things. And the new moon will be trining Neptune. So again, with the sun trining Neptune this week, I think there's a little bit of support for a little more receptivity, especially with Mars going direct. And the new moon will be also sextiling that Jupiter-Pluto conjunction, supporting the deeper energy that's helping us transform or empower ourselves this week. And then the weekends with Venus squaring up to Pluto and Jupiter. And so I think particularly Sunday into Monday, this is also Pluto energy, right? Deeper energy. And with Venus, it's maybe relationships. So I think it's good to still practice non-attachment when it comes to our relationships, to be doing our best to be vulnerable and deep and honest and compassionate and all of this, in terms of doing what's real, right? What's raw, what's really, really important on that deepest level. So great to see this, great to get a little bit vulnerable. Now, of course, with any square to Pluto, of course, we need boundaries. It is good to set boundaries. So I'm not saying to let go of any boundaries, but to kind of see that we might be having some armor on. Might be a little bit too much of that, maybe, or not enough. Maybe there isn't enough in your situation. So bringing a little bit more of those boundaries. But if there's too many, it is good to, in our closer relationships and by building healthy trust, to open up a little bit, get a little bit deeper, maybe communicate to those that are close to us how much they mean to us, this kind of stuff. So really good to do that. And in this way, it becomes very constructive. It's the only major square we have this week. And I do see this as being very good going into next week for bringing a little bit more of that deeper energy and real energy into our relationships and just into life in general. Venus is just everything we enjoy and value. So that's really good to develop there. And Jupiter's helping, again, the process with Jupiter being so close to Pluto, helping it expand and helping us see the higher perspective of it. All right, everyone. So that is the week in a nutshell. A lot going on this week, very busy, but simply put, we are coming up to the ending phase of the current lunar month. And this is going to be great for finalizing things this week in the context of the past few weeks. And and in the context of leading up to it, maybe some of the stuff involving Virgo, improvement, refinement, personal development, maybe doing the work there with that. The Jupiter over Pluto is expanding the deeper realms. So that's great for, again, seeing the higher perspective, the deeper aspects of ourself and life, which can be super transformative and empowering. And Mars is going direct in Pisces, slowly moving forward in regards to anything that we've learned the past few months in regards to the soul satisfying side of what we want, and also how to be more receptive and listen to our intuition and such. All right, so everyone, have a fantastic week. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to click that like button if you haven't yet. If you're not yet signed up for MTZ Insiders, definitely check out the link down below for that. It's a newsletter where you do get updated on extra videos and special content. But again, have a great one. Thank you again, and I'll see you all next week for the next weekly forecast. Take care.